I know that this is going to be the thing that people grab their pitchforks and come after me for. Welcome back to Making Everyday Magic. My name is Shanna, and if you are new here, we are a homeschooling family of 4. We are in our 7th year of homeschooling, and we have a 6th grader and a 2nd grader. Today, I wanted to come on here. I wanted to answer some of your questions. I wanted to share that I skip lesson planning and give you a few more honest answers. Guys, before we go any further, please scroll down, hit the big red subscribe button, turn on the bell for notifications, and give this video a thumbs up. As always, you can find me right on down in the comments or over on Instagram at Making Everyday Magic. It's been a while, and so I thought it would be really fun to pop on and do a little Q&A because it's been a little while since I've answered the questions that you really want me to answer. So I am coming here. You will see me looking down because I've got them on my phone because I got them from Instagram. And over on YouTube in like the community post tab and some on Facebook. So if you are not following me all of those places, be sure that you go and do that and check it out. That way you can know when I am asking questions like, well, what do you want answered? And that is what we will do. So, all right, let me start with the kind of the big one here. I have seen recently a lot of our secular homeschool pals here who share on YouTube have been sharing like, let's plan my week. And I've also received some questions on how we do that in our homeschool. And I just want to tell you, you guys know, I spend a lot of time planning our year. So I map everything out. I figure out how long it's going to take, when we're starting, when we're stopping, all of that. But on the week-to-week basis, like, I don't really do anything. And I know that this is really going to make some people mad, but I don't lesson plan. I don't do that. So I will, like, if I stop right now, I'm going to stop and think really hard about, like, today's Thursday, so we're wrapping a school week. So in order to be ready for next week, we have wiped off our flow board. Because you guys know I like a process that's like, first we do this and then the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. So the other thing that I have done to prep for next week is I went through their Discover Science and I highlighted, like looked over the pages and highlighted the page number for the pages I want them to do for the next 2 chapters for next week. And I cut out the activities for next week's All About Reading and I've paper clipped those in. Oh, I do, like when they finish an episode of High Gatsby, I will delete it off of the drive and put the next one on. That's it. I don't write anything down. We don't have like a fancy chart other than our flow chart. We just do what's next. There are several things like the Michael Clay Thompson, if you order the package, they give you a list, like a way to rope it all in, and you're doing like one of this chapter, and then at some point you add in another book, and then at some point you add in another, and you're all do. We don't do that. We just don't. I found that approach to be really hard. It didn't work for us. It got confusing. It was hard to keep up with. So instead, we just do one, and then the next one, and then the next one. And that's all we do. So that is the extent of my lesson planning for the week. We just do what's next. So if this week we watched episode 54, we just do what's next. That's it. Something that probably does flow straight into this. Let me pull up my questions really fast. I have received the question of how we use Khan Academy, and I will probably do a full video on this, but basically I just go on to Khan Academy from my account. I have an account. If there's something that I want to use, we use it on our big TV as a computer. We do it together. So that's how we're using Big History Project and the Khan Academy bio. And we find the thing we want to use, and then I'll bookmark that so we can go straight to it. And then it saves your progress. You just check it, and you can, if it's like an article, it's like read article. And then in the corner, there's like a button, click next. And then it goes to like a quiz, and we'll do the quiz and answer all the questions together. It saves your progress, and it does everything there. So it's really easy. So that's how we use Khan Academy, but I probably will do a video that's like an in-depth dive into that, because I think it could be really helpful. Okay, now at the time you see this video, you probably will have already seen my 8-week update, which talks about this some, but how are you liking MCT, Michael Clay Thompson? I love Michael Clay Thompson the way that we use it. When I tried to use it the way they wanted us to use it, it got very confusing. I love it because I do feel like it is advanced in the sense that it doesn't, and this really suits our approach to writing. So I've never stressed writing. You guys know this if you've been here for any period of time. I don't make them write what, this is my opinion, is crap. Okay, so I don't have them writing a paragraph in first grade for the sake of learning to write. I do not do that. We learn, my second grader is learning how to read, all about reading. She is spelling, all about spelling. She is learning grammar with the Poodle series from Michael Clay Thompson. I do not stress writing until, well, my big kid did learning how to write a sentence for the first part of 5th grade or the first part of 4th grade. I don't remember when we started it, but whenever we started the first level of Michael Clay Thompson with her, she is now moving into the essay portion. I love that I don't feel like Michael Clay Thompson is a lot of just garbage fluff. Like, they don't stress writing for the sake of writing. They're not, which in my brain, all I can equate this to is like a word count. Like, you're just trying to check the box. They don't do that. And I really, really love that, because instead of that, they're learning how to do it well. So instead of learning how to do it a lot and then trying to fix all of those habits and things like that, they're teaching them on kind of a bigger scale. So something that I do feel like is going to translate really well to high school and to college, instead of teaching them garbage earlier that then you have to fix, if that makes sense. And no hate to anybody who uses anything differently. This is just my preference. I feel like it suits us and it's working really well. I feel like it's very meaty, but it's one of those things where it's like, you know, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So that is how I feel like the approach is. So while it is a very intense topic, I feel like the way it's presented is easy to teach, easy to discuss. There's so much discussion, which I really love. And even in all of the instructor sections, it tells you to take or leave what suits you or what don't. And it discourages you from kind of the endless repetition of just doing it for the sake of doing it, which I think is the busy work, right? Like the crap. I'm just gonna call it's crap. So I love this approach because it does not do that. Now, again, I'm not using it the way they told me to use it, but I paid for it, so it doesn't matter. Okay, so yeah, this is a great one actually, because it might feed into a couple more things. These might be really disjointed, just because I'm getting them from everywhere. How do you recharge? What are some of your hobbies? Do you have a favorite Starbucks drink? Not really any questions about homeschool, but that's fine. We can always do this. Okay, so how do I recharge? I like to read. It is important for me. I like to get up before my children. I feel like this sets a great tone for my day. I enjoy creative outlets, and I have found that with hair. When I did hair, when I was a cosmetologist, I have found that with my Etsy shop. So I use Photoshop and things like that. So it allows me to be very creative and get those juices out. And here in discussing and editing YouTube videos and things like that, it's a very creative outlet for me. So having that makes all of the difference. That is what keeps me going. My favorite Starbucks drink. I love hot drink London Fog Latte. It's so good. I love it. I like to make them at home with like a little protein shake. Oh my gosh, London Fog Latte. Cold. I am currently obsessed with the not cold brew. I don't like that as much. Nitro cold brew with a splash of heavy cream and some sugar-free vanilla. I'm not a huge like really sweet drink person, so I don't love that. So I'll usually swap out like almond milk or something else instead. But those are my obsessions. Currently, I'm having a really hard time finding the nitro cold brew, which is making me really fussy and angry because I go and then it's like a little bait and switch. I like to order on the app so I have to talk to people. Those are my feelings on that. But how do you handle when your kid doesn't want to do schoolwork and will fight it all day? I feel like this is partially, it was not a school thing. This is a parenting thing. So we've established, we're very consistent all the time, that mom and dad are in charge. And when it does come down to doing a chore or something they don't want to do or schoolwork, because sometimes it's schoolwork, that they don't want to do, it is not an option. Okay, so you school here, you school there, you school somewhere. School isn't an option. That's your job. Okay, so it is imperative for the success of our family and for your education that you do your job, and your job is school. So quite honestly, in our home, there is not an option to not do school. If they have put up a fuss, if they've put up a fight, if they are not doing it, then, you are more than welcome to sit quietly on the couch. However, you will not disrupt the rest of us. And there is zero anything else happening until your schoolwork is done, because this is not a situation, this is not a power struggle that you're going to win. This is a necessity for your life that you receive an education. That right now happens in our home. It is my responsibility to make sure that you have that education. 0% of anything else will be happening until then. And I mean, I'm talking, don't let them choose what they want for lunch. So here's a sandwich. This is your only option. Here is, take away kind of the fun stuff of that. So certainly don't let them watch something. Certainly don't let them go play. Certainly don't give them the opportunity to even go sit in their room alone, unless that's something that's going to help. Go sit, have a quick think about it, come back when you're ready. However, there is no option where this will not be happening. So it's up to you. We can do it now and get it done and move on with our day, or we can wallow in this for as long as you would like. I have also found, don't lose your cool. Kids respond differently if you can keep your cool. So by all means, do whatever it takes to keep your cool. And this is also a family decision. It was a family decision to homeschool. So if there's a reason why this is happening, and maybe there is, maybe they're struggling, maybe they're frustrated, maybe they're not loving it, maybe they'd rather do something else, you do need to get to the root of that. However, just not wanting to do school and dragging it out and ruining everyone's day is not an option. So don't tolerate it. It's not a thing that's going to happen. You are welcome to make this decision. And we have this discussion a lot. It's really important for me with girls that they consent. It is very important for me. And so yes, and we're also at that stage where we're kind of learning that we have a choice in life and autonomy, and that's fine, absolutely. It is 100% your choice whether or not you do this. Okay, sure, all right. You can decide whether or not you do this. You can decide to have those consequences. So you can do it now, when we're all getting along and agreeing, and I will help you and we will work through this and figure out what the issue is. Or you can decide not to do it. You will be uneducated, and at some point we will put you in school, because you have to get an education. So it is absolutely your choice to exercise whatever it is you have going on right now that you're feeling like needs to meet that need. However, at the end of the day, schooling is going to happen. So it's up to you, the path that we choose to make this happen. So I know that I was probably confusing it in my saying that you don't have a choice, because they don't really have a choice. But if you can give them that autonomy to make a choice kind of along the way, if that makes sense, it's one of those, not do you want ice cream? It's a vanilla or chocolate kind of. And I really hope that that makes sense. You guys are parents. I'm sure that it does. I am sure that it does. Okay. Routines, record keeping, chores, staying present. I struggle very hard with staying present because my brain works very fast and I'm usually thinking about the next thing, what's next, blah, blah, blah. I struggle very hard with staying present. Routines. I have tons of routine videos here on this channel. The biggest thing for me is attempting to get it into the plan, because then I feel like it does a better job of making it into the plan to get done, if that makes sense. Record keeping. I suck at that. My goal is to do it this year. Hasn't happened. I started like 1 or 2 times. It hasn't happened. So I need to get on that. I need to find a system that works. And so I don't know. I'm not there yet. Give me your tips, best tips, please. Chores. I have a theme. And again, I've got a video on this here. I've got a theme for every day. So Monday's Make It Right Monday, where I pick up from the weekend to try to just help myself out. Tuesday's Tinkle Sprinkle Tuesday, when we do all of the bathrooms. Wednesdays is Wax On, Wax Off Wednesday. We're doing all of the dusting and any extra chores. Thursdays, that's Extra Thursday, when I do like one random thing, like clean the oven or something bigger. And it's also our laundry day. We do all of our laundry on one day. Friday is Forget About It Friday. So anything that hasn't happened yet, and floors, because it also starts with an F. So that is how that happens. So there are little things, like if we need to do sheets and things like that, we'll kind of rip them off, take care of it on the weekend when it's a little easier to do it all together. There are, let me see, kitchen, clean the kitchen every day, because the kitchen is disgusting. That place is a wreck. So we're doing kitchen every single day. We're really good. My husband's so good at starting the dishes at night, and then he unloads in the morning. We're ready for the full day. So that is how that happens. The staying present and record keeping, guys, I suck at that. I don't know. Workout. How do you fit it in your busy schedule? I suck at this too. I would love to tell you that I'm a person who has ever prioritized physical fitness. That is not a thing I have ever done. Currently, I do try to move my body every day simply because I physically feel better as far as like how I feel, and also I sleep better. And I have to prioritize my sleep or I feel like a flippin' psychopath. So in an effort to improve my sleep, I try to move my body. And that is, both of my kids have always done things really active. So we'll either do something together, like a stretching or a yoga, then they're incorporated. It makes it a little easier. Let's not kid. If you're power cleaning your house, that's a freaking workout. Also, I'm in the luxury phase of my kids are older. So my youngest is 7. If I pop outside and they don't want to go with me, I can loop the block a few times, 20 minutes, and it's okay. So I have a little bit of a luxury in that respect. But if it is a priority to you, something that I have found, if it is a thing I need to get done, I need to do it early or it's not happening. Then that includes early in the week and also early in the day. For me, that works. That is a priority. And also, if it is a priority to you, make sure that everyone in your home knows that it is a priority to you and involve them, because communal goals are goals that you're going to reach a little easier because everybody's invested. So that is maybe hopefully helpful at all in that respect. What is the trick to including preschoolers in family subjects? Something I've done, and I think when I first started sharing on this channel was the very first year that my little one had come to the table. So she was pre-K 4. And something that I've always done, because we have homeschooled since she was under a year old. My oldest one, we've homeschooled the oldest one since my little one was under a year old. She has schoolwork. So it was the cutting books, putting letter beads on pipe cleaners, mixing colored water, coloring, anything that you, Play-Doh, all those things that really strengthen those hand muscles will help you out later. Really simple workbooks on Amazon where they can trace letters. Since we've been coming to the table and I needed her to come to the table, she has her own schoolwork. So for family subjects, if you, for example, are, and you say preschooler, you don't even say toddler. So preschooler to me is like 2 to 5, right? Or maybe even 1 to 5. Dot markers are amazing, stamps, anything like that. But if you as a family are studying state flags, print one and let them color it, okay? So involve them, include them, but give them those same expectations you have from your other kids, right? You're gonna come to the table, we're gonna learn together, but you're not gonna disrupt other people's learning. That's not fair. So that is the way I have always handled that. And again, that comes back, I think, a lot to a parenting thing. You set those expectations for your homeschool in your home. So the expectation for my homeschool classroom is the same as my home, where, you know, you're part of the team, you've got responsibilities, this is how it happens, this is how it works, and this is how it works well. So that, oh, do your kids argue with each other throughout the day? Absolutely they do, of course. I don't feel like they probably argue as much, but you got to keep in mind, we've got over a 4-year gap between the two, so the older one is a bit more logical, and then my youngest is 7 now, so it's a little different. They are both girls, so they play together very well. They are each other's best friends, but they are both girls, so they play together not very well because I have my firstborn child is a daughter. I am the firstborn child who is a daughter, and she is a stickler for rules, and she's very proper, and she is a micromanager a bit in trying to help her little sister learn the ways, and her little sister is a second child. So she is a bit of a tornado. And, well, sometimes that's oil and water, and sometimes they come together and they make a cake and it's beautiful and it's glorious, and sometimes they don't. So we've got some fuss and fight every single day, just like everybody else. But if you asked who their best friend was, it would be the other one. So if you're in that struggle bus right now, trust me, that gets better. Okay, best geography curriculum for 1st grade. We already finished Evan Moor, but started in August. Okay, so if you've already done the Skill Sharpeners workbook from Evan Moor and you've already finished it, that's amazing. Your kid might really have a great interest in geography. If they didn't and you were pulling teeth, scale it back. You only need to do 1 page a day. So in the future, maybe just do 1 page a day. However, if you are done with that and you want something more for geography, I'm going to suggest some awesome puzzles like geo puzzles, some fun maps like scrunch maps. You could do the Poppik, like flags of the world. So if you've already done geography in that respect, start learning flags of the world or landmarks of the world. You could do, my kids love to fish around on Google Maps, like Google Earth. They love to do that. So Evan Moore does actually have more beyond the Skill Sharpeners workbooks. We have done a world study where you're finding the countries all over the world. We did that last year. And then this year we're doing a US study where it's fun facts about each state in the US. So if you've already done kind of, because I think of the Skill Sharpeners geography workbook more like a social studies thing. And if that was fun and you enjoyed that, find something down that path. But if you'd like something that's a little more geography, like where is this? Then go for something that, games, continental race is a fun one. Flags of the world, things like that are really good ways to kind of branch out and expand on that geography. Okay, I think this is going to be the last one because this video is getting a little long. Okay, at what point did you decide to homeschool? Before they were born or when the oldest was however age? Okay, so I have shared this before. I haven't shared it in a long time. I never even wanted to have kids. But you meet the right person and things change. But I did not have any desire to homeschool before having children. And once I had a child, I did not have any desire to homeschool. I've had zero desire ever to teach. And that is a noble profession for people out there. The entire idea makes me nauseous. Like the idea of teaching other people's children. No. Which I recognize is ironic and dumb and hilarious because of what I do in our home. However, my oldest daughter, when she was at Mother's Day out, and she went from about 2 to 4, so she was there I think 3 years, and they were like, did you know that she knows her letters? Like, well, of course. Did you know she knows her letter sounds? Of course we knew, because we work with her, and my husband and I are very passionate about learning and education, and so that naturally translated into our parenthood journey. And so in realizing when they thought that it was such a unique thing, because it's something that I would have expected, that she was ahead of where she needed to be. And as school age was getting closer, I have some relatives now and people who are in school now and people who are out of school who it just wasn't. I had an amazing experience. My experience with public education system was amazing. However, those who came after me and other people that I know didn't have that same experience. And so looking at the fact that she was so ahead of her peers, it's like, okay, do we put her in and let her just kind of chill for a little while? We're going back and forth on what the right thing to do was. I was struggling and I was like, I really feel like homeschooling is the right answer. My husband was not on board. But when one of us has a thing, we bring it to the other one, talk about it. It's not like we were never any fights about it. It was just one of those, I think this could be the thing. And my husband, also a product of public school. We don't know anybody who homeschooled. The only people I knew who homeschooled were weirdos or religious, like nutter butters, or bad kids. That was the only reason, in the little town I grew up in, why people didn't go to the school. So it was really hard to get our mind around that. We didn't know anybody who did it. And they're 7 years ago, 8 years ago, we're researching, there were not a lot of resources. Times have changed, and that's amazing, and I'm so glad. However, when it came time, I was like, what if we try this? And he's like, what if we try sending her to school? And if that doesn't work, we pull her. It's like, I want to try this first. If it doesn't work, we can put her back in. And we have done such a good job. We don't do it anymore because now, we know if something isn't working anymore. But for years and years and years, every 6 months, is this still the right path for our family? Is it the right path? Is it still the right path? Do we need to pivot? Do we need to change? The way that I feel she started ahead, if at any point she isn't still ahead, we maybe need to reevaluate, because I feel like that is ground that's been lost. And so that is when red flags and alarms need to start going off for us to really, truly reevaluate what we're doing. We were able, the program that we used at the time, Texas Tech, we were able to start her right at 5, which her birthday is in the spring. So that gave us a few months of doing this before we necessarily would have had to pull the plug and put her in school to be right on track with starting school. So all of those planets aligned perfectly to allow us to feel like it was the right thing to try. And here we are. It was the right thing to try. So that is how that happened. So my youngest started for her. She went, because I worked outside of the home, she went to Mother's Day Out, a Montessori style Methodist church preschool, until pre-K 4. And so then for her kindergarten year, we started homeschooling, and that's how we did that. And my youngest did the same Mother's Day Out program. However, in her pre-K 3 year, in March of 2020, something happened. Things got weird. And I had already decided, since we already did homeschool, that I would keep her home for her pre-K year and go ahead and start homeschooling her at home instead of continuing to send her. But that was also right about the time that, no, I had already left the salon. So I was already home all the time. So it seemed kind of like a waste of money and kind of dumb. So we just kind of went ahead and started that journey with her for pre-K. So she's been pre-K all the way up. So we had a kinder for the oldest and pre-K all the way up. So that is that story. Guys, let me know if you have any other questions, or follow us on Instagram so you can keep up with whenever I do this. If you've got something you desperately want to know, anything channel-wise, any specific curriculum stuff, let me know. I'm super happy to answer and share in any way that I can. And it's also quite possible I've already shared it, because we've done this now. I've been sharing here for over 3 years, which is really crazy. So it is quite possible that whatever question you have has already been answered here. So feel free to look around. Yeah. Guys, I hope that you found any of this helpful, entertaining, or informative. If you did, please scroll down, hit the big red subscribe button, turn on the bell for notifications, give this video a thumbs up. As always, you can find me right on down in the comments or over on Instagram at Making Everyday Magic. Super sorry this is a long one, but questions and answers are always fun. So, bye guys.